Hey guys, welcome to a two-part guide on Spellements and eventually gambits. They are both interconnected, so I'm going to go over one before I go over the other. That way it'll be more streamlined and make more sense later on. Spellements are reagents that you get from many different means that allow you to sort of customize your spells in a predetermined manner. Not every spell has spellements, only certain ones do, so we can go over what kind of spells have spellements and what kind of spells don't. So here I am on my fire wizard. He is almost level 30, so I've just started Mushu. This means that the types of spellements that you should have access to are a lot of the Arc 1 spells. So this would be your regular rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 spells. Those are the types of spells that end up getting spellements. It depends on the type of on the school, but most of the time you'll get all the different spellements for ranks 1 through 6. This does change depending on the school, as I said, because Myth has a different type of spell here, or you can have several different types of spells such as Balance, and there are also lore spells. So this would be a lore spell. This is another lore spell. I don't have them unlocked yet. Brimstone Revenant is also a lore spell. So those are the different types of spells that have spellements early on. Later on, you're also going to get spellements for your Caramel spells, your Lemuria spells, and your Nova spells. A more recent addition and a newer update has added spellements to Arc 1 quests. So this is the symbol stating that a reward for this storyline quest is going to be spellements. So as I go up here and accept this quest, I have finished the last one and I got a Stormzilla spellement. Another source of spellements is defeating a boss. Certain bosses will drop either Balance and Elemental spellements or Balance and Spirit spellements. It depends on the boss and it depends on the world for what kind of spellements you get. So here I'm in Mushu about to fight Dodaga. So at the end of this fight, he will be dropping 8 spellements or treasure cards that are going to be of the elemental schools in Balance. So now that I've beaten this boss, you can see here that I've gained all of these spellements. A bunch of storm spellements and ice spellements and some balance spellements and even a fire spellement. Even this is my fire wizard, so that's good. So that is how you can get spellements. Now bosses dropping spellements are actually blocked behind badges. So last night I completed Marleybone on my fire wizard, which means that I got the badge for completing Marleybone. Before I got that badge, I had the badge for defeating Crocopatra, of course, which means that at that time I was able to get spellements from bosses that drop spellements in Crocotopia and Marleybone. But now that I've finished Marleybone and gotten that badge, that means I can no longer get spellements for Crocotopia, but I can get spellements in Marleybone and in Mushu. Now once I finish Mushu and defeat the Jade Oni, I will get the badge for completing Mushu, and that will lock out Marleybone, and then in that case I will only get spellements from bosses in both Mushu and Dragonspire up until I defeat Dragonspire. So now you might be thinking that Arc 1 spellements would be trapped behind a wall. You wouldn't be able to get them if you're a high enough wizard and there's no way to go back and get the spellements. Well, there actually are several ways that higher level wizards can still get spellements for the Arc 1 spells. There are 2 talents that you can have on a pet, either Elemental Retriever or Spiritual Retriever, which will find different spellements that you can use Happiness to find. So when you look for these talents, you can find a pet that will have that talent, and then you have to unlock it with these tokens. So this is a Frostbite token here, this is a talent token, and this is an elemental token. There are plenty of other types of tokens that you get. You get them from raising up pets, so that will keep unlocking different pet tokens that you can use to unlock the different pet talents. There are also these cantrip ritual chests that you can cast Magic Touch onto. And if you get 3 wizards to cast onto the cantrip chest, it will then unlock and grant everyone who used a ritual on it the spellements inside. So this is one in Novus, so I would be getting the Novus spellements and the Arc 4 spellements, but they are found in most of the other worlds as well. Another way for higher level wizards to get Arc 1 spellements would be with raids. Raid bosses drop Arc 1 Spellements, as well as Spellements that aren't typically found anywhere else, such as the Spellements for Golem Taunt, I believe. All the different golems that each school gets, these are Spellements that are only dropped from raid bosses. And also these boss rematches, which you can find in the arena, and you can craft these different rematches where they will be different levels of past bosses. So this would be rematching the Jade Oni, Crocopatra, Lord Nightshade, Malastare, and Meowiarty. And once you rematch them, they will then drop Arc 1 Spellements. This icon here means that you have enough Spellements to upgrade a spell. So I can go in here and I can now choose to upgrade my Fire Elf. So when you choose to upgrade a spell, you can choose one or two paths. Sometimes there are even 3 paths, and you can choose which one you want to do. Typically there is a path that gives an increase in damage or changes the damage based on the spell. So in this case, it would still do 310 damage. It would just add 15 damage to the initial hit and take 15 damage away from the damage over time. Or you can choose this path, which is more of a gambit path, which would have a gambit where you would give the normal 150 damage here, and then for each shield you clear, you would have an extra 120 damage over time. I will go into gambits in another video. So let's here pick the gambit spell just for fun. So what happens when you choose a path is then the spell will change. So now you can see that my Fire Elf now does 150 fire damage and clears shields for another 120 fire damage. If you don't like what path you chose, you can also go back and reset a path, which costs 100 crowns. So let's reset that. And now it's given me my Spellements back and gone back to the normal Fire Elf. So now you can see here in my spells that it's back to a normal Fire Elf. Another source of Spellements would be any Novice endgame boss, and they will drop any Spellements from Arc 4. So now that you see that I've beat Maxine, she drops both a Novice Spellement and I think this is a Caramel Spellement. Not even from my own school. So later on in Arc 4, they will drop all of these Spellements from Arc 4. Another way to get Spellements is just to buy packs. So there are Spellement packs that you can get Spellements from in general. So this just gives you all the different Spellements, and these last 3 are guaranteed to be of your school, and these are Arc 1 Spellements. And then there are other Spellemental packs, such as the Ninja Spellemental pack, Knight Spellemental pack, and plenty of other Spellemental packs, as well as Spellmental Road Warriors pack, which is just the same as the Road Warriors pack, but it has added in Spellements. For this one is Imp and Ghoul. But another way to get Spellements without having to buy the crowns and buy packs is that there are lore bosses. So I'm going to go into a bunch of other different guides to focus on the lore Spellements and lore bosses themselves. But just as an example, you can get the Spellements from the Ninja Spellmental pack here from Takanobu the Masterless. So each lore boss is a gold skeleton key, as well as exists for every single Spellmental pack that you can get. So here I'm just going to quickly beat Takanobu and show that he gives Ninja's Spellmental pack Spellements. And so now that I've beaten Takanobu, he drops a bunch of Spellements, Ninja Pigs, Samurai, and I believe Goat Monk. Yes, and those are the different Spellements that you can get from him, as well as a different spell that is unique to him. So those are all the different ways that you can get Spellements. Stick around for another video upcoming that will go into gambits and how those work, and hopefully I can explain that well enough to where everyone else can also become an expert on gambits. Thanks for watching, like this video, subscribe for more, and I'll see you in the next one.